Welcome in, trainers, battlers, all those alike, to this nice Pokemon Go shoutcasting stream. I am joined by my co-host, Greninja Muffin, and our featured battler, Althena. And we are going to watch some nice GBL battles. Greninja Muffin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, I'm Greninja Muffin. I guess I just wanted to try shoutcasting for the first time. It seemed like something that would be really enjoyable, so here I am. And I know Speedy, I believe you stream on Twitch as well, do you? No?
I do, yes. I had to add Need for Speedy Go to the end of it because apparently Need for Speedy is taken by 2 other people in the world on Twitter and Twitch.
Really?
So it's just like, yeah, I just added Go at the end. No fancy underscore or anything like that, but part of the game that I still play, so. So I believe our battler is going to start off analyzing their opponent's team, analyzing it is GBL, but if we're pretending this is a tournament, then that's what they would be doing during this time. We do see the trainer is going to lock in with the team of 3 of Frostlass, Swampert, and Grafty. Very, very interesting. I wonder how much bulk this team will have with a Pokemon called Frostlass. So We see Frostlass going into Mandibuzz, not really a good lead. Especially with it being ABA weak to it, especially depending on the fast move. It is Snarl though, so Scrafty will be able to put up a fight against it. And we do see a catch.
Amazing catch. This is nice. Foul play will do absolutely nothing in because the Mandibuzz is running Snarl. Oh my goodness. Well, bye-bye Scrafty. You know, wow, this is tricky because you can't... Because, I mean, both your mons are just going to get farmed down. Maybe Swampert is going to try and...
Yeah, we do see the Swampert coming in, trying for the Hydro Cannon. Even though there is an Avalanche loaded on the Frostlass, this Hydro Cannon is going to do a decent chunk of the damage, if not knock out the Gramble. But these Charms are doing a chunk, and the Swampert is barely able to make it to the next Hydro Cannon.
Alright, charging out the Hydro. Will this see the second shield?
We do see the Frostlass immediately attempting to go for the Avalanche against the Gramble, but is unable because going off second, but it will also be getting one of our trainer's shields. So now we have a Frostlass with one shield against two of the remaining Pokemon, which we do see that Mandibuzz coming in with Snarl doing super effective damage on both because of Mandibuzz's flying type. But Frostlass is pretty glassy and will have to use its last shield here.
Alright. Avalanche. Ooh, they switch in Medicham. So this Shadow Ball should just about KO. Maybe you'll be able to, I think you should be able to Powder Snow down before they reach the Psychic. Oh my goodness. And if you're able to Powder Snow down, I think you should leave with enough energy to outpace the Mandibuzz to the Avalanche / Foul Play here. So this is looking good. And they're running Pup, so I think that is the nail in the coffin.
So we do see this Avalanche coming through from the Frostlass onto the Mandibuzz. Will it be enough to knock out the Mandibuzz? It is enough to knock out the Mandibuzz, giving the win to Althena.
Yay!
That was a good start.
All right. For sure, yeah. I think Athena that made a really good play with that catch there, catching that foul play. And after that, despite that Shadow Gramble coming in, Athena did a really good job of being able to force fields with the Swampert, barely being able to reach that second Hydro. And then, you know, your win con was kind of them being weak to Frostlass in the back, and sure enough, they were. So Frostlass was able to sweep. Really well played.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think the catch ended up winning the game there because it did lure out that Gramble. So then you start to realize that these shields are going to be either potentially more or less valuable because of the fast move pressure that the Shadow Gramble had against the team.
Yeah.
So we see our trainer deciding what their next team is going to be, going with the same team.
I like this play. Oh, Fishy Whitman, this is a local. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna have to shoot him a ping after this. All right, great, pretty good lead here in the next match. Zeno, because this Avalanche will be able to one-shot, but unfortunately so will the Frenzy. So I believe Frostlass, and I believe they get to move at the same time on CMP. Switching into a Kingdra. Okay.
We do see building up to 100 energy before being able to swap out and bringing in the Scrafty, but our trainer is down a shield because they had to shield that Frenzy Plant. Going for the Octazooka debuff and gets the debuff, but Pup is going to be able to counteract the debuff from the Octazooka and give the Scrafty back some of its attack.
And also, fun fact, I was looking at this on TV Poke. If your attack gets lowered by one stage and then raised by one stage, you will do 5% more damage because the attack buffs are slightly more than the attack debuffs, if I recall correctly. So, a little interesting tidbit there.
We do see another move coming from the Kingdra, and it's another Octazooka which is able to knock out the Scrafty. We do have that Frostlass with approximately maximum energy, but also potentially the Swampert could come in and get some energy of its own, which is what the trainer decides to do, potentially attempting to knock out the opposing Kingdra with this Hydro Cannon.
And I believe they are getting close to the Octazooka, so will they come with the shield here? Opting to let the Kingdra go. And gonna come in with Altaria. Oh my goodness, the opponent is double weak to Frostlass, so it makes sense why they're saving the shield. Going for the Sludge Wave. Will this be a shield? Because if they no shield, you might be able to farm down. Oh, never mind. No, that didn't do enough. Gonna snipe with the last here.
Yeah, the Sludge Wave definitely probably saving the shields to use against the Frostlass, getting the first shield from our opponent. And then we see continual avalanches coming off as that Frostlass had a whole bunch of energy that was saved up from the previous matchup. And the Frostlass gets both shields from our opposing trainer, but will the Swampert be enough to take out the Altaria?
We will be able to get a few Powder Stones of chip damage, but I believe it will still be out of Hydro Cannon range. It might barely be able in Hydro range plus a few mud shots. They have a Sky Attack. Kind of forced to kill this, unfortunately. Now it's kind of a race where you'll be able to reach the Hydro, or you're going to get Dragon Breath down. Maybe even going to see if you can get to the Sludge. Although I think Altaria gets to the Sky Attack before you...
We do see this final charge move coming from the Altaria, which will be able to knock out the Swampert, giving the win to our other trainer.
I'm going to have to send him a congratulations on Discord. That's pretty fun.
Alright, can I give a couple of pointers before the next battle?
Sure. I understand. It was probably Pop. I did say Pop. That was my fault, and I caught it.
Oh, you know what? I missed that one, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you definitely do that, or do you think you did it?
Oh, no, I definitely did.
Definitely did it?
I said Pop on the Octazooka. I'm better about the charge move stuff, but like Pop, I'm just like, it's Pop.
So what I was picking up was, I think, a little more big picture stuff. Greninja Muffin, you do something really well that I see very few people do. It's something that I actually keep trying to get a little more of in my own casting, which is the idea of looking forward in a battle and describing what something means to the context of a battle. So what a lot of people will do what a lot of people will do in their casting is they'll just say things like, they're throwing the Hydro Cannon now, and now they switch out into this, and now it's just a very, in my opinion, bland description of what we're seeing right now. Whereas what you do really, really well is you look ahead and say things like, so it looks like they're gonna have to burn a shield if they want the Swampert to have any effect later in the game, or this is a prime opportunity to build up some energy before that, and etc., etc. So you do that fantastically. There were a couple of moments where I thought that would have been really handy, and I would have liked your opinion on, say, when that Kingdra came in, when they swapped the Kingdra into the Frostlass. I would have loved to hear an opinion on what does this mean, like. Is this a beneficial switch? Can you see what they were doing in trying to bring the Kingdra into that Pokemon? Is this dangerous for them, etc., etc.? And Speedy, I'll give one tip for you for now. You're super knowledgeable, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to see a bit more enthusiasm in it.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's the biggest thing for me is I'm like attempting to unlearn how all the terminology. So that's why I picked up on the puff more than anything like that.
Right.
And so that's more what my brain is thinking, is more focusing on like, okay, try to get the terminology correct, because it's so hard when it becomes a force of habit for like 2 years. It's like, it's a Metacham, it's Medi, it's an Azu, it's a
Yeah.
Zimmerel.
Yeah.
It's like all these things that we always short term, and it's like you can't do that if you want
Yeah.
to do that. So that's like typically where my thought process is it's like
Yeah.
it's more thinking on the terminology rather than like
And it's
things
taking up brain
past that.
space.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I
sure.
get that. I get that. I mean, at least we're aware of it now. Obviously, it won't be like most things we bring up here. It'll be like you won't be able to just magically go, okay, now I'm gonna start doing this thing, because like it's a process. It takes a while to like naturally put that into your casting. But just
Absolutely,
as long as
yeah.
we're aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing for Muffin is just a bit of it's a very delicate art. Like I hate awkward pauses in like any content, and it's also really bad talking over the other person. And again, that's something I do like get wrong constantly. But I think that's the thing I'd like you to focus on the most, is really getting a sense from your co-caster of when they're done and you should pick up, or when you should stop and let them pick up. Sometimes Speedy will literally just stop talking, and that's her saying it's your turn to talk now. Sometimes she'll take the lead and just pick it up. She'll take the mic from you, essentially, and it's just a balancing act. You guys have to just work in tandem to work out how you're gonna coordinate those transitions.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, I'll hand it back to you guys.
Okay,
Do we
so
want to hop into the next battle?
we are waiting on our trainer to decide their team, and we see that they have decided the same team.
All right. Getting up here. The trainer name? Oh, is another trainer name? Thorny HDV. All right. Leading Frostblast into Mag Cargo. This is a pretty awful lead. Double resisting the avalanches and being able to hit back with super effective damage with the Rockos and/or Incinerates. And it is Incinerate. Switching to Shadow Swampert here. And this could be a little tricky, because Swampert is going to be able to do massive damage, but they will have to commit quite a few shields. We will.
Both trainers will have to try to commit some shields. We do see the first Protect Shield coming up on the Scrafty, trying to save it from the Swampert, potentially even trying to flip switch, which is very valuable in this matchup. We do see the Scrafty going for another power-up punch, increasing its attack more. Will it be able to counter down the Swampert before it makes it to another Hydra Cannon? It is unable, so it commits the second Protect Shield against the Swampert.
Athena clearly here trying. Probably isn't the greatest of positions, though, because Frostblast really does shine when shields are down. They come in with the Trevenant, though. Athena going to bait with the pup. The opponent, I would imagine, commits a shield here, given that they have two, and this is a boosted Scrafty. And they do indeed commit that first Protect Shield there. Maybe the Seed Bomb should not knock out, so I think most likely you will be able to reach the foul play before they reach that second Seed Bomb here.
Yeah, we do see our trainer going for the foul play. This is triple boosted, if I remember correctly. And we see the last Protect Shield in the match. We do see the last Protect Shield, so all Protect Shields are down, but this Trevenant is going to get the farm down on the Scrafty. So we are pretty weak to this Trevenant, especially with the amount of energy that it has. So we will have to see the play.
Gonna come in with a Swampert here, probably just gonna have to sack it to force Trevenant to throw its energy here. And I'm trying to think. I think we should barely outpace to the Avalanche. I'm not quite sure how many Shadow Flies they threw. on
It
that.
did get the farm
Okay.
down on the Scrafty, so it did have a lot of energy to throw the Shadow Ball to knock out the Frost Glass.
Frost glass. That's a good name. Unfortunate.
And yes,
Oh.
I see the comments of my Eevee plushie. Yes, it is one of my favorite Pokemon. It is called the emotional support Eevee. You know, when GBL starts getting really bad, you just pick it up, you just hug it and hold it and pet it, and it's emotional support when sometimes things are going a little rough.
Man, I need an emotional support Eevee. Looks like Athena here is switching up their team. Obstagoon, Talonflame, Swampert. Do you have any comments on this team building composition?
I mean, I feel like it definitely protects up against Charm for the Obstagoon. I wonder if it does have the recent Community Day move of Obstruct to potentially get the... It does not. So it is a pre-Community Day one. But it does seem like the trainer has the ranks for their Pokemon on there. So it is pretty good rank, which is very hard to get pre-Community Day because they didn't really spawn in the wild.
It is also possible, though, that Athena did catch it during Community Day and evolve it after. Hopping in great lead in the next match. Probably Trevenant's hardest answer in the game is the Goon. Can immediately stay searching to Vulnerable. Oh my goodness, the spice. And these Incinerators are chunking.
Yeah, I believe that our trainer can go for a shield and farm down and come out with a whole bunch of energy. And Talonflame with energy is very scary because of its Brave Bird potential. Nothing really wants to take a Brave Bird, and so the Talonflame being able to be maxed on energy is going to be scary for whatever comes in. We do see a Trevenant come in and have the take a Flame Charge. The first one doesn't do as much, but we do see the first Protect Shield come up from the opponent.
And the fact that they brought in Trevenant into a Talonflame, and especially because this is an Ultra League, signifies that they're most likely weak to Talonflame in the back. So we definitely could see double shielding the Flame Charges. Oh my goodness. So Athena most likely going to commit the shield on this move.
We see a foul play Trevenant. Not even the standard of Seed Bomb and Shadow Ball, but we do see a Wall Ring come in and is going to take a boosted Flame Charge, which will almost knock out the Wall Ring before it can make it to a move.
It is able to reach the Icicle Spear, taking out the Talonflame, but we still have the Obstagoon in the back to kind of just clean up house here with the low HP Wall Ring, and you should be able to comfortably reach the Night Slash against the Trevenant here. I think that'll do it.
So the one Night Slash being able to potentially knock out the Trevenant, winning the match for Athena.
GG's. Alright. Yeah, we kind of... They were pretty weak to Obstagoon, Trevenant, Wall Ring Core. Obstagoon and Scrafty are kind of like the only two things that break it. And I think Athena also played that really well with that Talonflame sweep. The opponent committing 2 shields, though, on the Trevenant, but... Not sure.
Absolutely. And I also think, like I said, Talonflame with the energy is definitely a terrifying bot. I would have loved to see a Brave Bird on the Wall Ring. That definitely would have one-shot it, but I understand trying to go for the Flame Charge, just continually increase attack and potentially make it to another move on whatever the backmon is. But we do see an Obstagoon into a Abomasnow, which is a nice lead as the super effective counters up against it. Into Swab, into Tentacruel, and the Obstagoon is actually staying in.
Huh. Looks like maybe gonna Night Slash and then dip into Swampert maybe, although because of the new move updates, it has Scald now, so it will be able to put on a bit more charge move pressure. Opting to just stay in with the Obstagoon altogether, try and play this out. Question is this the Acid Spray bait or the Scald? This is a tough call here. Gonna move shield, and it's the Scald. Good call. No attack debuff. You're gonna be able to reach the Night Slash here. Tentacruel is pretty tanky, so I think you will have to get to one more Night Slash. Take it out, yeah.
There will have to be one more Night Slash to knock out the Tentacruel before it can even make it, as the Obstagoon barely makes it to the Night Slash, which, if the opponent decides not to protect shield, will knock it out. We do see a Protect Shield coming up from the opponent. First Protect Shield of the game, and this Tentacruel does have some extra energy with being able to farm down the Obstagoon. Definitely do not want to take a Scald on Talonflame, so coming in the Swampert to potentially farm down the Tentacruel.
You still will have to take a Scald, which will do a decent... Oh, they Acid Spray! This is actually a pretty heads-up play from the opponent, because now whatever they bring in will have an easier time. Gonna insta-swap into the Talonflame against the Abomination. These Incinerates are just chunking. Oh my goodness.
Even though they are chunking, we do have this Weather Ball coming through, which will be doing decent damage. Althena is going for a Flame Charge, hoping to knock out the Abomasnow before it can make it to another Weather Ball, which, because Talonflame is not very tanky in the Great League. But we do see the Flame Charge coming through and knocking out the Abomasnow, but we see a Spark Lantern in the back.
And Talonflame going to be able to spam with these Flame Charges. This is boosted, so the opponent may want to commit the shield, although Lantern is notoriously tanky. And, oh, duh, I forgot. It's water type. What am I saying? Maybe going to be able to reach other Flame Charge? Unfortunately, it's all up to 2 Shield Swampert here to be able to close out this match. Unfortunately, we are running the Sludge Wave, which was the Earthquake, although from this range, I think Sludge Wave plus Mud Shots should be able to knock out the Lantern here.
Yeah, we do see the first Protect Shield from Althena on this charge move from the Lantern. It is a serve, which would be get the Swampert dangerously low. An attempt to catch a Hydro Cannon or an Earthquake on the Tentacruel is unsuccessful from our opponent's side, and they accept their defeat and click the eject button.
Good game. I think that was a really...
It does look like we have lost our... Okay, we're back. Okay. I was like looking on the other side. It looks like we had lost connection a little bit.
Yeah, I'm getting occasional internet spikes, which does worry me very much, because I thought I'd resolved that issue, but that's okay. We just power through.
Keep going through.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was also an Abomasnow double water team, which was pretty interesting. I was, I would not think about that, but water is typically pretty powerful in the Great League meta, and typically you don't see a team without it for a pick 6 or show 6 pick 3 format. So
I'm just going to interject before the next battle starts. So far, you guys have absolutely put everything that we've talked about so far into effect. Like everything we mentioned so far, it has improved in the last few battles. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we see our trainer going into their next match with this new Obstagoon, Swampert, and Talonflame team.
It's definitely reminded me of Ultra League. That was a line that I was running earlier, except with Charizard as opposed to Talonflame, because I don't have one built. The Obstagoon mirror match. Okay, both sides doing quad effective counter damage here. The opponent can immediately say switch into Skarmory, into Talonflame. These Incinerates will be able to just start chunking, and the Flame Charge will be rapidly words are hard. Gonna shield up the Sky Attack. This would do a decent chunk onto the Talonflame. Maybe gonna look for an Incinerate farm down, although I think this Skarmory will be able to reach another move. Able to fire up the Flame Charge at 100 energy. The question is, does the opponent want to commit the shield here? I don't think they do.
They do decide to commit the shield, and we see the second Flame Charge coming out immediately after the first one, potentially threatening the second shield from the opponent. And it does not take the second shield, but this Talonflame is now double boosted. So with it being double boosted, we see the trainer immediately attempting to go for another Flame Charge. A charge move coming from the Obstagoon. So will this threaten another shield for the Talonflame? It does not, and the Talonflame does survive the Night Slash, and another Flame Charge coming through, potentially costing the last shield from its opponent. Scared it's a Brave Bird, and we do see the last Protect Shield from the opponent.
And now Swampert with a shield advantage, as we all know, is very lethal, being able to spam out those hydro cannons. But I think that was a very heads-up play by Athena, recognizing that if they threw the 1-1 Incinerate, the Thummy probably would have been able to make it to the Sky Attack. And it's a Cresselia in the back. So this is interesting, because a Moonblast will just about knock out the Obstagoon, if I recall correctly. However, these Night Slashes will continue to just chip away at that Cresselia. So I think at the end of the day, Cresselia might be able to unfortunately just kind of out-bulk Obstagoon here. But I think Obstagoon definitely has a good shot of doing significant damage with these Night Slashes, especially if we can maybe get a boost. We haven't gotten one in 3 games now, so fingers crossed.
We also do have a Hydro Cannon loaded on the Swampert, considering that this Cresselia is a larger threat, in my opinion, than the opposing Obstagoon. I definitely could immediately come in and play that Hydro Cannon, but the Moonblast actually does in fact not knock out the Obstagoon. So being able to make it to this last Night Slash, but also it's giving the opposing Obstagoon energy when it comes in once this Night Slash knocks out. But we do see the immediately swap into Swampert and trying to go for that Hydro Cannon.
Obstagoon going to be able to fire off move, but this won't unfortunately be able to KO. And I think at this point, a Hydro Cannon will just about be knocking out the Obstagoon. And I think that's a good game. Very well played by Athena, instantly swapping into the Swampert and trying to snipe out. Recognizing that if it got that far down on the Obstagoon, it could potentially be able to reach double Night Slash. Pretty bad. So, good game.
We also did see that Obstagoon lived the Hydro Cannon as well, so it was a little more bulky than expected. It did not just get knocked out by a Hydro Cannon. So definitely if the Obstagoon had more energy on the opposing side, could definitely cause some issues for our trainer here.
For sure, yeah. Gonna opt to stick with this team and go into the next match. Hang up. Leading Obstagoon into Deoxys. Ooh, this is unfortunate because even though you are a Dark type and Deoxys is a Psychic type, these quad effective counters will start to add up, even from a Pokemon as unattack weighted as Deoxys. Maybe trying to catch a Thunderbolt there, or starting up the energy, potential Rock Slide. Deoxys will be firing off moves. The question is, do you shield the Psycho Boost? Gonna opt to let it go here. I'm going to switch into Azu. Do they respect the Sludge Wave? Do they respect it?
We do see a shield from the opposing trainer's side, respecting the Sludge Wave. Our trainer here is desperately attempting to make it to the Sludge Wave, but a charge move coming from the Azu, which will use the first Protect Shield on Athena's side. So we do see the desperate attempt, charging over a little bit just in case they do decide not to shield the Sludge Wave this time. But the Azu is bulky and can still take a Sludge Wave and have enough health to come back. But our trainer is able to make it to a Hydro Cannon that will be able to knock out the Azumarill or take the last Protect Shield from the opponent.
Azu actually hangs on at 1 HP and able to get the under tap. Athena opting to let the Swampert go. I agree. I think this is the correct play here. The question is, what are you going to come in with?
We do see the Talonflame coming in, attempting to try to get an Incinerate worth of damage. And energy, which Incinerate being a 5-turn fast move is definitely precious to get that extra energy, but we do see that there is a Bastiodon in the back, which is going to spell trouble for the Talonflame as is. So
this is a rough spot,
yeah, very, very rough spot.
I think the boost! I don't think this is going to save us though, because I believe the opponent does still have a shield, which they can use on this Night Slash here. Yes. The double boost! No! And yeah, I think from here, even if you shield up a Rock Slide or a Thunderbolt, I think Bastion, it's just too bulky, unfortunately, for the Talonflame. Gonna throw the Flame Charge.
We do see this immediate Flame Charge. No, not really much over-farming for the Bastiodon, as the Bastiodon does have a lot of bulk, but throwing rocks really hurts, and the trainer decides to click the eject button as that was going to just get farmed out by rocks.
Unfortunately, I have to admit, throughout that match, I was expecting maybe like a fire type in the back. I noticed that their first two lead Pokemon with the DB and the Adu just kind of get wrecked by Trevenant. So I was a little bit surprised by the Bastiodon in the back. I was expecting a slightly harder Trevenant, but it clearly works for them. So unfortunate.
Now our trainer has decided to continue to go on with this team, even though it has a slight Azu weakness, and definitely does not like rocks being thrown at its Talonflame. But we do see a Pidgeot, a shiny Pidgeot lead up against this Obstagoon, which is very interesting as it is one of the only other Mons that does have a 5-turn fast attack with Gust. So definitely pretty interesting. We do see a Night Slash coming off, and it is pretty fragile as it is now reaching the yellow, closely reaching the red before even its first charge move is thrown.
Throwing off the moon. This is always a tough call. Do they feather dance to this straight big bird? Gonna shield, and it is unfortunately the feather dance. Oh, and they get a gust through. Unfortunate. Given that Cena wants to end attack, they were unfortunately able to reach it. This Night Slash will not. I think you should be able to farm down still. Able to farm down. Now the question is, do you just kind of bank the energy on Obstagoon here? Suicune! What? What? Ice Fang Suicune. I believe Suicune has Bubble Beam, Ice Beam, and Hydro Pump. So this could get a little scary. Normally it seems Snarl, but very spicy moveset and Pokemon on the opposing team side here.
So we do see the Obstagoon go down, and interesting, bringing the Talonflame into the Suicune, the water-type Pokemon. As stated, Bubble Beam, as we do see used here, is going to be super effective, but immediately swaps out to try to clear that debuff. And the Swampert desperately trying to make it to a charge move, but no longer has any Protect Shields to use up against the Suicune. We do see another Bubble Beam come through, so potentially it's single moved. We can't see the other side, but it's still going to do work with its Ice Fang. We do see the trainer going for a Sludge Wave, even though there's still 2 Protect Shields in play and one is not used. So we do see a Steelix coming in with Dragon Tail.
It's very spicy. Steelix did get that new Psychic Fangs in the Season 13 move update. Makes it very lethal now as these Dragon Tails just add up after that Psychic Fangs debuff. Swampert barely able to reach that second Hydro Cannon. Will this warrant a shield? That's kind of, I imagine it does. It does indeed get the shield. And Talonflame could maybe try and, I think your win con here is just incinerating down. Oh, you get an incinerate through. They threw immediately. That's a pretty big mistake from the opponent then, because that's a free 5 turns you get. And the question is will they be able to reach Crunch? Maybe going to be able to farm down? They reach another move, but I don't think a Crunch, even debuff, will quite be enough to KO here. It is just a Psychic Fangs. Does the Incinerate do it? GG's. Alright. So able to farm down the Steelix. Barely.
I absolutely should not have won that. I stopped the wrong modded and was like, oh no, why did I put a Talon on a Suicune?
Yeah, I was kind of questioning that play, but, obviously mishaps their thing. And, sometimes that's what I was saying earlier, that it's so easy to be saying that in, post or, even when you're, you're not in the middle of a match, because there's 1,000 things going through your head when you're in the middle of a match, when it's you can see, especially if you can see both sides and can take a look back and be like, okay, this is exactly how much energy they have, or they're one short or something like that, rather than when before it's I don't know, I'm in the middle of a match, I lost track of how much energy that thing has, or what charge move it's gonna go to, or whatever. So
yeah, I wonder if that opponent was maybe even auto-wrecking. With a single move, so you can maybe got some a research breakthrough. But I don't know. Maybe they just really like Suicune. I can't blame them.
Do you want new advice after this battle, or do you want to just keep working on the things that we were talking about before?
I'll take some new advice.
Yeah, we'll do advice. That's
That
fine.
doesn't hurt.
This is more granular now. This is like little things that just get an extra like 2% out of your performance. Greninja. In my opinion, when you say when you start a statement with "I think," I believe it lowers your credibility. I think it makes it sound a little less confident and authoritative. I think a simple way to fix that, just saying "I believe" instead of "I think." I think that sounds a little bit better, or maybe replacing it with a question. So asking your co-caster, do you think this will KO? Do you think this warrants a shield, etc., etc.? And that also invites the caster to come back in and start, their run, and so that offers a little bit of extra teamwork. I think that's all I'll give for now. We'll keep going, and if I'll jump back in if there's other things I'm like trying to work out the best way to bring it up.
Word them.
Yeah, to word them, bring it up. I need to be able to like crystallize what exactly I'm hearing.
I mean, for me, it's pretty hard to offend me. Like, you could be like, "You are the worst shoutcaster ever. No play Pokemon events," and I'd be like, "Okay, that's fine." Like,
Excellent. Good to know.
I need a lot more practice. Yeah. So it's like if you're like, Speedy, you're absolutely horrible, and like you need to fix this majorly, and I just don't know how to word this or say it to your face on stream. You're fine. You can say however you want. And I typically don't take large offense from people that I know are trying to do it with pure intention.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, but if it's like random Joe Smo messaging me on Twitter being like, "Hey, you're a horrible person, horrible shoutcaster," and I don't know who Joe Smo is, it's different.
Yeah. The intention behind the words, I totally understand that.
Joe sounds like he sucks.
Yeah, Joe's a tool.
I'm inclined to agree. Did you say tool? Did you say tool? Is that like an Australian insult?
Oh, is that not a thing elsewhere?
No, it's definitely a thing.
It's definitely a thing.
Okay.
Wait, Han, a tool or stool?
Tool. Tool.
Yeah.
So is he being like manipulated by someone?
No.
Well,
tool.
no, that was. Yeah, that's just more like someone who is not being very, I don't know, like either A, they're trying to use someone, that's more so how I take it, or it's like, someone that's just being like extremely rude.
Yeah. Thank you.
Teaching Gen Z some stuff.
You want to put it that way, yeah. Athena opting to stick with the Obstagoon Swampert Talonflame team here. Going up. Get worked. Obstagoon into Scrafty. This is not amazing, as even though you're hitting super effective counters, they're hitting quad super effective counters. Instantly switching into the Swampert. Oh, an amazing catch, catching the Hydro Cannon onto their Umbreon. I'm seeing Scrafty, Umbreon. Something tells me there's a Nidoqueen, some other poison type in the back, as that is a very common line in the Great League, and even the Ultra League.
It's very interesting, though, that it's flipped, because typically you see the Nidoqueen in the lead as one of the dark types is used to counter out or bring out one of the Charmers or something fairy in the back so that it gets energy and then is able to sweep. So very interesting that it's a different order. And we do see a last resort coming from the Umbreon, which does not have the same type attack bonus as its opposing moves of Dark Pulse or Foul Play. So very interesting move from our opponent here. We do see them trying to protect the Umbreon, trying to maintain switch, but it's just Umbreon. It's spammy, it's bulky, it has all the things. And we do see another last resort coming out, which is very, very interesting.
The switch clock is up, going to go into Obstacle and maybe try and get an energy lead. And even though they are running last resort, I kind of question this play from the opponent. Maybe their switch clock is enough, but I think you'd be much better off in the long term. Maybe trying to save that energy for the Umbreon. Gonna switch into Scrappy. Snipe. This is just a power-up punch. You can safely no-shield it, and maybe even get a shield back with a cross chop. Oh my goodness, that does so much damage. Able to reach the double cross chop, and I think you should be able to live that counter to reach. I believe you should be able to survive this counter, so you should be able to get off the next cross chop, which does it barely able to live it. It's going to do a good chunk. Now, what do you think, Speedy? Do you think they shield here?
We do see a Protect Shield, the last Protect Shield coming in, and the Swampert coming in, attempting to make it to the Hydro Cannon, barely surviving and being able to make it to the Hydro Cannon, which should knock out the Scrafty. And then we see a Talonflame with one shield remaining, the immediate swap out, and then the Alolan Ninetales coming in with its charge attack of fast attack of Charm, which does not do super effective damage against the Talonflame, but it still does a chunk because Talonflame is pretty squishy in the Great League.
Agreed, although I think this is the nail in the coffin, as the Umbreon unfortunately just doesn't have enough health. Very interesting team composition from the opponent, running Dark, Double Dark, and a Charmer in the back. But I don't know, maybe they're having good success with it elsewhere. Really well played by Athena, and especially I want to shout out that play of coming in with the Swampert, recognizing that you're just barely able to reach that Hydro into Scrafty. I think that was some really great energy management by Athena there, so props for that.
Absolutely, especially with it being boosted. Sometimes trainers don't get enough practice with things being boosted and being able to have a higher attack and take more damage from the fast attacks. So definitely a very well played area right there.
For sure, I have found a few situations where I underestimate, how much damage like a double boosted counter is doing, and I end up dying with the move or something like that. And we'll see here if Athena's going to stick with this. They are going to opt to stick with this team. I'm supposed to switch this up. See what the lead is here. Obstagoon into Lantern. Okay, you are weak to Lantern here in the back, so I'd imagine you kind of want to stay in here and not risk it being aligned with the Talonflame. And I would imagine Lantern wins this matchup. I know, Speedy, you certainly have more experience. Do you know who generally has the upper hand here, especially after Lantern is a lot more spammy now with the Surf?
I am typically used to it being Hydro Pump, which Hydro Pump does do a decent amount of damage. And with it getting the upgrade earlier on, because it only used to have, I believe, Water Gun and a different electric fast attack that isn't as powerful as Spark.
Charge Beam?
So, Charge Beam, yes. So definitely being able to combine Spark and Surf now with lower cost-effective charge attack. We do see the first Protect Shield coming up to try to protect the Obstagoon, potentially not knowing if they are able to live the next Surf, or potentially just trying to make it through with Night Slashes to knock out the opposing Lantern to try to protect the Talonflame.
I do like this move by them, though, opting to not go for the counter down, recognizing that they want to be opponent to make the first shielding decision of the match. So it's getting some lag here, bringing in some Medicham. We'll see what Athena decides to bring in, and whether the Medicham is Pup or Ice Punch. Opting to bring in the Talonflame here, I definitely agree with this play, as you will be able to threaten with a potential Brave Bird.
Yeah, so we do see the potential option to use a Protect Shield, opting to not use the Protect Shield, and it is an Ice Punch Medicham, so definitely being able to do some damage to the opposing Talonflame without having to try to go all the way to the Psychic. The Brave Bird attempting to make a connect and is unable to connect with the first Protect Shield used from the opponent, but we do see a Razor Leaf Tropius coming in for the Swampert.
Able to reach the Sludge Wave, however, and does the opponent respect the Sludge Wave? We saw the Azu shield up. Does the Tropius know about it? They do not! and that does a massive chunk onto the Tropius, and now you should be able to farm down with the Talonflame. And I believe this is just a Leaf Blade. It could be an Air Leaf, so I admittedly don't know my Razor Leaf counts very well. Opting to throw the Leaf Blade, it is unfortunately just a Leaf Blade, but you will be able to farm down. Oh, and you get 3 Incinerates worth of energy. That's huge, because now you might take the Incinerate through. Oh, that's a massive misplay on the opponent here. But does this Ice Punch knock out?
Punch is able to not knock out the opposing Talonflame. We do see it going for a Flame Charge, because if you do miss that Brave Bird and are unable to connect, they could just counter down. We see the final Protect Shield, but will they be able to make it to the Flame Charge? And unable to make it to the Flame Charge, giving the win to their opponent.
Unfortunate. I think, yeah, and in hindsight, because you don't live the 2 counters, your win con probably would have been Brave Birding and praying they no shield, although I think Athena definitely made the right play in the moment, because I think you definitely had a good chance of living the 2 counters. I personally underestimated how much those counters would be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the issue there was potentially not saving your Obstagoon for another sack. I know sometimes the game has other plans, but I think definitely realizing that faster than instead of queuing up that fast attack to get the Obstagoon out and immediately go into Swampert would have helped in the long run, because the Metacham would have not had as much energy.
I think that is a very valid point to be. Had you got switched out of that Obstagoon, not only would the Metacham have had less energy, but again, they would have been able to potentially do a fast spot there. Athena, do you have something to say about that?
The lag happened as I was trying to swap out in that
Yeah.
moment. So that was tough. But yeah, agreed that swapping out was definitely the win con for that one.
Yeah, I think, well, because I think you queued up the fast attack and then you attempted to go for the Swampert, which could have contributed to that slightly. But I understand too, like I said, it's the moment thing versus where we're just we're little just eagle eyes in the sky trying to look at this from above, not being in the brain of actively doing these matches. So
direction, we are braviary eyes in the sky.
There we go.
All right, Athena opting to stick with this team, it would appear. Maybe gonna switch it up. Going to maybe switch it?
Switching it up a little bit. Oh my gosh, there's a fracture. There's a fracture.
Is that a Great League rank 3 Musharna? That's pretty great. That's pretty great. I don't think Great League rank 11 bases.
Looks like the roster is pretty deep here.
Oh, you also have a Vikavolt. They said earlier. And a Vileplume. Oh my goodness. A Rhydon? Shadow Electrode. That's pretty cool. Shadow Vileplume too. What's this? Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen Altaria. Crafty. I like this. Running ABB Root to Charm. The question is this Nidoqueen Stone Edge? I'm curious. I'm hoping it is. Fingers crossed, please. Hopping in this next match. Nidoqueen. And just Shadow Feraligatr. Holy moly, what? And I believe this thing has a waterfall, so I imagine we'll see a very quick switch. I apologize for any potential background noise that you may be hearing on my side. Switching into the Talonflame. I question the switch by the opponent here, as the Incinerates and the Flame Charges are resisted, unfortunately, for the opponent.
It does also potentially have Ice Fang, so that immediate switch into Altaria, I was even questioning it if trying to wait to see what the fast attack was. We do see a no shield on the Altaria for the Flame Charge, but these Incinerates are still going to start trying to chunk a little bit more, but definitely have to be wary of that Brave Bird from the Talonflame. But it is a switched in Talonflame, so most of the times opponents are hesitant to use Brave Bird in situations where they are locked in.
But yeah, because of that triple times defense debuff, that definitely is a decision, because at that point you often will be kind of soft stacking the Talonflame, and if they shield the Brave Bird, that is pretty bad. able to reach the last second sky attack here. And will we see a shield here from the opponent? Keep switch. They're opting to let the Talonflame go. And I would imagine they come in with Feraligatr here and try and farm down. Although, what do you think, Speedy?
Yeah, we do see the Feraligatr come in. A hesitant switch over into our Scrafty, and we see it met by a Surfetch. Now, our Scrafty does have 2 shields, protect shields, while the opponent has run out of protect shields for this match. But these counters are definitely doing some damage on Scrafty, so Nidoqueen seems to be in a pretty rough position now being locked up against the Feraligatr with the fast attack waterfall.
Yeah, they're definitely running a very fast move heavy team with the Incinerates from Talonflame, and especially counters from Surfetch. Surfetch is notoriously glassy, but it just hits so hard. Scrafty barely able to make it out, and this Feraligatr is looking very scary here, as your backline doesn't really want to take these waterfalls.
Absolutely. But we do see this Nidoqueen coming in, and it does have a protect shield and is using the final protect shield up against the Feraligatr. The Feraligatr having the Hydro Cannon come through, but will it be able to make it to the Earth Power, or will a Poison Fang be enough? We do see the Nidoqueen making it to the Earth Power and going to be able to knock out the opposing Feraligatr, despite the farm it did get from the Scrafty, able to pull out the win. Very impressive.
I love the little Earth Power BM there at the end. His Poison Fang definitely would have done the job, but always gotta go for the nuke if we can. Very well played by Athena there. I really like the spice of Shadow Feraligatr. Wow, that's pretty right there. Athena maybe gonna switch up his team, opting to stick with it. And Nidoqueen into Shadow Swampert. This is not great. Gonna immediately switch into the Scrafty here, just trying to quickly ramp up the damage. They switch into Drapion, implying that they're most likely running Sludge Bomb, I would imagine. If they're switching in here, because the Aqua Tails aren't really doing anything, and the Crunch is double resisted.
Well, they could also have Felt Stinger, especially with how quickly that move was charged up from the opposing Drapion, but it is Aqua Tail, and it does still do a chunk to the Scrafty, but these counters are also doing a chunk to the opposing Pokemon, but these power-up punches are also making the counters more effective up against the Drapion. And will we see a shield? If we do live the Aqua Tail, and we do see the first Protect Shield come up from our trainer's side.
I think this is a smart play by Athena, because you will be able to counter them before the next Aqua Tail. And now whatever has to come in will unfortunately be able to have to take some boosted counters. And the fact that they're coming in Swampert indicates they're potentially weak to fighting in the back. Firing off another power-up punch. I think this is the 3rd, maybe even 4th that they fired off. These counters. Oh my goodness. Really well played there, recognizing that edge. That does absolutely nothing. He's switching to Bastiodon.
Yeah, unfortunately, Altaria is not going to do this much damage to Bastiodon. So kind of a dead paperweight. And this Bastiodon will also have the ability to farm down the Altaria without taking much damage and get a whole lot of energy for the back 2 Mon. So that is going to definitely put Athena in a difficult position.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sky Attacks and Moonblast are just doing absolutely nothing against the wall face here. However, in very heads up play, keeping that Scrafty alive to definitely threaten this Bastiodon and just dish out the damage with these counters. Maybe even coming in. I like this play, soaking the energy on the Nidoqueen here. That was very smart from Athena. The Flamethrower, and then they're opting to stay in, maybe going to threaten with the Earth Power. Bastiodon firing off another move here, though. Opting to let it go.
Our Flamethrower does not do that much damage to our opposing Nidoqueen, but we do see the Swampert coming in, and Swampert does have Mud shot, so definitely can be able to charge up moves pretty quickly, make it up to Hydro Cannon. So, but we will see the Scrafty still applying fast move pressure, and we do even see our trainer going for the foul play, attempting to knock out the Swampert before it can make it to another Hydro Cannon.
Very smart play. Swampert is forced to commit the shield here. It isn't CMP, they're over farming, and they might have double Hydro Cannon, if not they're really close. I'm not sure we'll be able to Poison Fang down, or Poison Jab down. Although, do we have the Fang loaded? We have the Fang loaded! Great play by Athena here. Now it's a race to the Earth Power. I think you should be able to outpace the Bastiodon because they did throw 2 moves against the Nido early in the match. Oh my goodness, barely able to farm down.
We do see a farm down, so yes, it is race to the charge move. Will the Bastiodon be able to make it, or will the Nidoqueen make it? It does make it to the Earth Power, but does this knock out the Bastiodon? I know I definitely play with Shadow a whole bunch, so we'll have to see if the Bastiodon's able to hang on. It is not able to hang on, giving the win to Althena.
Very well played by Athena there. I think that Hydro Cannon catch onto the Altaria was very massive, soaking that energy in. It's a very heads-up play, recognizing that the fact that they brought in Drapion into Scrafty was definitely a sign that they were most likely weak to it in the back. So a very good play by shielding that second Aqua Tail. And sure enough, Scrafty was able to put in just a massive amount of work in the end game. So very well played.
For this battle, just a fun little exercise, Greninja Muffin.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you talk, I want you to say 2 sentences, no more.
And then stop.
Stop.
Okay.
And Speedy, you'll have to take it up from there. No matter what's happening, 2 sentences.
All right. Leading Nidoqueen into Deoxys. This isn't amazing.
We do see the Poison Fang coming through, immediately throwing it, but it does seem to get a shield from our opponent and swapping out into Altaria, but is met by the Registeel. I have a feeling that this Altaria is not really going to appreciate the Registeel Zap Cannon or even Flash Cannon as potential moves. Greninja, do you feel that bringing in the Scrafty would be appropriate here to farm down, or trying to save your line of 3 so that your opponent doesn't know your whole line?
I think Scrafty will definitely be able to get a really great farm down, because otherwise the Registeel may be able to reach a potential move on the Nidoqueen, even if they are double resisted.
Yeah, and definitely also with its move, Power Up Punch, definitely able to also threaten and just increase its fast attack damage, which is definitely able to help make it through. But our opponent, or our trainer, deciding not to use their Protect Shield up against the Registeel, understanding Altaria is kind of dead weight. And we do see the Scrafty coming in, potentially trying to go for a farm down, or the immediate going for a Power Up Punch to knock out the Registeel.
I think you could have farmed down here, and I think the opponent definitely should have thrown the Focus Blast, because that probably would have KO'd the Altaria, and you might have been able to reach another one here.
Yeah, but we do see this immediate switch in to our Nidoqueen, and then a switch into a Lantern. So this is a very interesting play. Lantern using a charge attack and getting the first Protect Shield from our trainer. The Surf coming through and immediately throwing the Earth Power. We'll have to see if our opponent values their Lantern or their Deoxys more for their final Protect Shield. And they decide to Deoxys is the better Protect Shield Pokemon, allowing the Nidoqueen to be pretty healthy and potentially get off a move if our trainer decides to use a Protect Shield.
I think you might even lose the Psycho Boost and be able to get off the move you're just comfortably able to live it, because you're not Shadow, and get off Poison Fang.
Absolutely. So with this Poison Fang debuff going on to the Defense Deoxys, the Defense Deoxys might still have to throw another move to even knock out the Nidoqueen, not being able to counter down.
Yeah, definitely. I think them shielding that first Poison Fang from Nidoqueen, most likely like a mistap, but I think that definitely is going to come back to cost them here, unfortunately.
Yeah, we do see that the second Poison Fang is in fact able to knock out the opposing Defense Deoxys. Potentially it was also not a misplay on the opponent, but potentially they just didn't remember how much energy the Nidoqueen had. And
That's
so
very
there was
true,
the
yeah.
potential of an earth power, which definitely would have knocked out the fence Deoxys. So
That's very true. Because this power would chunk even on a non-shadow. Yo, and Polion Dynamite with a raid? Oh, hello. Oh, there's a lot of people.
welcome in, Matt. How are you doing? Welcome in, trainers. We are doing some GBL and practice shoutcasting. Need for Speed to Go and my co-host, Ninja Muffin. So welcome in.
Hello. I'm getting Nidoqueen into Azu. And because shields are up here, this is pretty good for the Nidoqueen because you will be able to shield up this charge move. Switching into the Talonflame, which is met by the Altaria here.
Yeah, so we do have to be wary of the Brave Birds from the Talonflame, but the Talonflame is locked in, so it does tend to not like the debuff that comes with Brave Bird. But we do see a Protect Shield early on against the Sky Attack, so matching Protect Shields on our trainer side, being able, but unfortunately shielding the Flame Charge rather than the Brave Bird.
Very unfortunate call. However, I think that was a safe shield. A good play, recognizing that had you not shielded, that would have been pretty disastrous. Another Flame Charge coming out here. And I'll tell you, these Dragon Breath chunking. You might even be able to farm down here. 2 Incinerate. Okay, I believe this is just a Flame Charge, however. You can let this go. And now...
I believe the last Flame Charge doesn't even kill. And being able to come out with a Moonblast or a Sky Attack for whatever comes back in. Attempting to try to make it to 2 Sky Attacks, which will do more damage overall than just a single Moonblast. But this is going to be very, very close as Bubble was nerfed, able to make it to the second Sky Attack, which is going to do more overall damage to the Azumarill. But the Azumarill will have some extra energy being able to farm down the Altaria.
Very heads up play from Athena, recognizing that. And now the Azu is almost at half health. And it might have to start shielding up Poison Fangs here. Athena not throwing immediately. Nidoqueen can live an Ice Beam. Opting to shield it up, however. I think that was the smart play. Now you'll be able to fire off Poison Fangs and threaten it. Oh, they switched into Umbreon.
We do see this Umbreon coming in and strategically farming up to 2 moves on the Nidoqueen. The Umbreon will be able to threaten the Scrafty with Last Resort, though, and does have that extra energy from the Nidoqueen attempting to farm up for 2 Poison Fangs for the Azumarill in the back.
I agree, although I think Scrafty just has such a dominating matchup versus the Umbreon. And these Power Punch encounters are just thunking. And the Umbreon is forced to throw Last Resort, which, I think 4 knockout, but Scrafty's just going to be able to counter down by the time you reach there, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see our trainer attempting to overfarm, potentially trying to get more charge move pressure for the Azumarill with the Scrafty, which is weird to say because typically you don't hear that with Scrafty, but once it gets an increase in its attack from the power-up punches, Foul Play definitely is able to threaten here and might even be able to potentially knock out the Azumarill without even the Nidoqueen's assistance.
Yeah, I mean,
so we do see that
boosted, and it is able to knock it out.
Yes, absolutely.
Scrafty sweep there.
Very well played.
1 second.
So, that 2 sentences thing, that wasn't intended to, it wasn't because you talk too much or anything, because that's definitely not the case. What I was aiming for there was to be more concise. So, what I'm hearing is a little bit of, you'll make a comment, and then there's a small pause where it's am I gonna pick it up now? Like Speedy has to think, am I gonna pick it up now, or are you still going? And then you might trail into a second half of the sentence, and then the sentence will keep on going longer and longer and longer. And so I was trying to find a way to just tighten that up and make that a little more structured. Does that make sense?
I'll try and keep that in mind. Yeah.
How about, let's see if this works. once you've finished a thought, transition to your co-caster by saying their name. And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like smooth or anything. You could literally just say, and the Swamper goes for the bait on the Kingdra Speedy, and just leave it at that. Because it's more about the exercise than how it sounds at this stage. Cool. And then Speedy, we'll work on you. I've got ideas for you.
You have ideas.
I have ideas. I have plans.
Leading into the sex match, Nido Queen into Altaria. Not running Stone Edge, unfortunately. That would be nice here, but you can still threaten with that Poison Jab plus Poison Fang combos with the fast moves really adding up against this Altaria. Speedy?
I definitely am used to the shadow variant of this, so I typically just poison jab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, poison jab, and attempt to make my way through brute force and brute damage through Altarias, but it's going to be very interesting to see how our trainer here decides to play this with the normal variant that does not do as much damage, but definitely does not take as much damage in return.
Yeah, because these Dragon Breaths, you should be able to live a Sky Attack now. Opting to switch out with the energy, however, into Swamper, immediate count.
We do see that. I think we have half lost our Cocos, but we do see the Swampert coming in against the Altaria, and it seems like the Swampert potentially might. Oop. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I will let you take.
Sorry about that. Swampert opting to shield up the Sky Attack, but these Dragon Breaths are really chunking, and unfortunately, even the Sludge Waves, I think you need 2 or 3 to KO. Speedy?
So with Hydro Cannons, though, it is a very powerful Community Day move on Swampert. So it is actually doing a decent amount of damage to Altaria. And since Swampert is so spammy with Hydro Cannons, it is actually taking the Altaria down into the red.
It really goes to show how busted Swampert is. Just constantly spamming out, just applying so much shield pressure. Will the Sky Attack want a shield, however? It does. Speedy?
So we do see our trainer deciding to protect its Altaria with its first Protect Shield for this match and attempting to immediately swap out into Scrafty, but we see our opponent immediately swapping into Stunkfist, which is not a great matchup for it, especially with the Galarian Stunkfist being a Steel type. These counters are going to do some super effective damage.
And especially because it isn't shields down. You can't just straight Earthquake here. My guess is maybe that was a panic switch. You might have been able to reach another Hydro Cannon on that Swampert to threaten that final shield and then come in as a G-Fist. Speedy?
Absolutely. We do see the Scrafty now ramping up with its power-up punches, but does it correctly call the Earthquake? It does not. The Stunkface opting to bait, potentially try to get 2 Rock Slides off, understanding that it does threaten with Earthquake, but opting to at least get some chip damage off with the Rock Slides.
And the Altaria has removed this Sky Attack plus Dragon Breath might potentially just flat out knockout. In which case, I think the opponent probably made a small misplay though, because had they just thrown that Earthquake, then either way you would have knocked out the Scrappy virtually. Very nice snipe with the Altaria and able to farm down. GG. Speedy?
Absolutely, and very well played on both trainers' part. Saving that Altaria, even though it had very little health, I personally didn't think it would do anything left in the battle, and it ended up Dragon Breathing down the Swampert. We do see a 5-0 for this set.
Yay!
Very good job to our trainer.
Yeah, I thought that was so much better. Like I thought the amount of pause between the transitioning of the casters, I thought that was very consistent for most of the way through. So the like I think it was in that Goldilocks zone. It was just right. I don't think it was long enough to make it awkward. And it also obviously you didn't talk over each other at any point. Obviously the that point where Muffin's internet dropped out a little being an exception, but can't fault that. So yeah, I thought that was a lot more concise.
I think I'm going to continue to do that. I thought that definitely helped me.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that.
All right.
So Speedy.
No, is there? I know. What's horrible, like absolute miscast of fire.
What I want you to do in this next battle is every time you start talking again, I want you to throw on a little bit more excitement. And I want you to time it so that by the end, you are sounding like a Brazilian soccer commentator. Like, I want you to be real over the top. So you can start normal and then just add a little more and a little more. It doesn't matter how fake it sounds. You just gotta put some passion into it.
Okay.
By the end, you should be just absolutely just jumping out.
Don't knock over the Eevee.
No, yeah. The amount of times I have to put it on my left side because there's so many times where when I had it originally on my right side, I just hit it because I was like, I'm so used to doing everything with my right. And so I'm like, okay, it has to just go on the left now because if not, I'm going to hit it more times than I already do.
Yeah.
Okay, gonna stick with this theme here. This new one, Scrafty, Altaria, Neo Queen. I am liking it quite a bit. AVB weak to Charm. See what we lead into this next match. BD, do you have any guesses?
I definitely think we're going to have to see what our trainer comes into with the Nidoqueen into Sableye. This is not really a great matchup for the Nidoqueen, but it does threaten with Earth Power. But Foul Plays and Shadow Claws are definitely going to hurt the Nidoqueen.
Sableye, whenever I face it, I always kind of think, oh, brother, here we go again. It's just so spammy with the Shadow Claw and Foul Plays, and just able to apply so much shield and fasting pressure simultaneously. Gonna opt to go straight Poison Fang here, though. Maybe switching into the Scrafty. See?
There was probably an attempt to catch a Foul Play there, unsuccessful by our trainer, but now the Sableye has a whole bunch of energy and is able to make it to the return, which gets the first Protect Shield of the match. We do see there's a power-up punch coming through. Nidoqueen definitely will be able to take any sort of power-up punches or even Foul Plays potentially on how quickly the attack does raise. Not shielding the Poison Fang from the Nidoqueen. Definitely going to be able to potentially start having the Scrafty ramp up and desperately attempting to make it to the Foul Play. Okay. Making it to the Foul Play, will it get the first Protect Shield from the opponent?
Gonna find out. This is boosted and the opponent has 2 shields, so I would imagine they do shield. They do indeed shield up the Foul Play, unfortunately. I don't think you're going to be able to reach another move, unfortunately. Dying with the power-up punch. There's that. And this Nidoqueen has a ton of energy now. Speedy?
We do see the debate on which Pokemon to bring in. The Altaria coming in. It is going to start taking some of the energy that the Nidoqueen farmed up on the Scrafty. And Poison Fang after Poison Fang coming through on this Altaria, but definitely can take it, as we did see up in the lead matchup. So it's kind of almost a mirror, just on the opposing side, which is very interesting. Immediately swapping out into their own Nidoqueen, desperately going for the Poison Fang, which will not be able to knock out the opposing Nidoqueen.
The Poison Fangs are, of course, double resisted because Nidoqueen is a ground and poison type. A switch into Shadow Drapion. Maybe Drapion firing off a move. I believe this is enough for the Crunch, and because it's Shadow, I think Crunch and Aqua Tail will unfortunately knock it out. Opting to shield it is the Aqua Tail. Speed.
We do see the trainer going for the Earth Power. Will it be able to connect and knock out the Drapion, or will it get the last Protect Shield from the opponent? It does, in fact, get the last Protect Shield from the opponent, but we do see the defense fall on the Drapion, which will potentially be able to increase our trainer's chance of winning. Unable to make it to that Poison Fang, though, to get the double defense drop on the Drapion and the Aqua Tail being able to knock out. Our trainer is desperately going for the Sky Attack and is unable to make it.
Yeah, that 10% Earth Power defense drop, just even with it, I don't think Altaria just has enough HP. Yeah, I'm going to throw off the Sky Attack, but from here, I think Nidoqueen can unfortunately just fast move you down. Speedy?
Absolutely. We do see the Drapion is able to be knocked out, but the Sableye coming back in, able to knock out the Altaria with just a single Shadow Claw, and unfortunately, our opponent was able to get the victory.
I could hear you getting a little bit more excited, but I think you can do better.
I'm trying.
I could hear it. I could hear the ups and downs of your voice that was becoming more animated.
Yeah.
I think you might be a bit afraid to look silly.
Yeah.
Which is a very common problem.
But, I think it's more attempting to try to hype up things that it's like, you know, we look at the Scrafty and Nidoqueen core or something like that, or like, well, not like the core, but it's like a matchup. Like, you know, it's like, oh, this matchup we've seen like 1,000 times. Okay.
Right.
Like, you know, when we joke about Umbreon mirror matches, it's like, okay, everyone go get your popcorn, go get something to eat, like come back in like 2 minutes, you'll be fine. We'll still be in this matchup.
I think it's possible to make those moments exciting, though. Yeah. I think that's another skill that is important to be able to master, because I mean, if you were to progress to more professional settings, then those moments will happen. You will get Umbreon mirrors, you will get Bastiodon mirrors, and you've got to be able to make those moments exciting somehow. Or not necessarily make those moments exciting, but keep the audience engaged. Yeah, jazz it up a little, just so they're not literally just tuning out for the 1.5 minutes that it takes for the Bastiodon mirror to play out.
Yeah. I think it was trying to get it at the end was the issue, because like there were sometimes I would get it at the end and I'd be like, yes, good, yes, no, okay, we keep now, and like, okay, I'm all the way here now, and then it's like, oh, now I have to keep going, and I don't know if I can keep going.
So you think that was as high as you could get?
Not really. I think I could potentially get higher, but like also too, I feel like that's like, you know, that's like the amazing plays that like make Pokemon Go what it is, like catches and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously that's not gonna happen in every battle, but like, you know, I think those moments are reserved for like things where it's incredible, or like, you know, like 2 HP and Dream on both sides and everything like that, or, you know, more exciting moments that not that they shouldn't be wasted on just standard moments, but like, you know, that they should be reserved for those more exciting moments, because it's like, if you already go up that high, you know, how are standard people going to realize that these are the plays that trainers, you know,
I see what you mean.
Edit. Yeah.
So you wanna have that extra gear in place for those most exciting of situations.
Yes, like oh god, I made this joke. Please don't cancel me, Twitter, if this ends up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter's one stream would get so excited that he kept clipping the audio like I think 4 times throughout the stream.
Yeah.
And I kept sitting here and I'm like, that's but they were like plays, like I was like literally sitting here watching the plays, like being like Butters, and I was like hopping out of my seat because I was like, oh my god, this is so incredible and stuff like that. But he kept flipping the audio, which is really rough for people at home, because we're trying, like, I always listen with everything with my headphones, so I can't imagine how the poor audio people in the background were like so, but yeah, I feel like those are reserved for like those moments where it's like really actually hype and what things are like important to us as a game.
How often do you think those moments come around?
I mean, it depends on the tournament too, because like NAIC, I feel like there was like a lot more of them. Like there were definitely a lot more close plays, and especially even to almost every single finale for like the regional tournaments. Like, I mean, what we had 2 of them in at least the US that I think they both went to 6 matches because it was like, you know, it was like 2-2 or whatever, and they had to get like the 3rd win or whatever, and they didn't. They had a simultaneous KO, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And the whole crowd is screaming and everything because, like, I was at Indianapolis when that happened, and it was like incredible. It was like we're all sitting here, like, just like, oh my, I can't believe this is happening. Like, King is like having to reset the bracket and then do this. Like, oh my god,
it was such a great moment.
Yeah, so it's like, I feel like I don't want to overhype like an Umbreon beer match to the degree of that, where it's like that's so incredible, and that's what makes this game exciting is those moments.
So I think those moments, it's easy to find the hype and institute it in an authentic way. I think that for more situations than not, it's gonna have to be up to you to be able to manufacture the excitement. And that was what I was thinking when I guess gave you that task of just ham it up as much as possible, because I wanted to see what it looked like when you are manufacturing excitement. And again, when I say manufacturing excitement, I don't mean, you know, pretending an Umbreon mirror match is exciting. I think it's more situations like you can find moments within a battle that are a little bit more hype, such as, you know, the decision to bait or nuke, or whether a shield can and should be used, or how much energy do you build up before switching out your Pokemon or firing your move, etc., etc.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm wondering where to go from there. Should we the same thing again, or should we just cast normally with that in mind?
I mean, I think casting normally with that in mind, potentially. Like if it goes super downhill, like go back to the exercise. But it's like, now that it's brought to my attention, you know, potentially trying to see, like, have that on my mind, but also have it not be like the main focus, because I feel like that's where I started to slip up, where it was like that was my main focus, was trying to do that, but like you can't
that makes
slip
sense.
up as frequently as I feel like I did in that last one.
Awesome.
Because like I forgot what Drapion was called. I was like, oh, I'm like so focusing on trying to figure out how to hype this up that I'm like, what the opposing Pokemon? Yes, I can say that. I can use that as a thing, but like probably would have been better to say Drapion. But my brain was just like, hype, please do this, potato.
Which that's fine too. Like there's that's what this setting is for, is to is to make mistakes essentially. So if you are trying to focus on one specific thing and it comes at the cost of plenty of other things, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. But having said that, like I'm certainly more than happy to just go back to normal casting now that we've covered that.
Yeah. I will try. I think I'm gonna try normal casting and see if I can't like still make it more exciting without it. Yeah. But like if I needed to, it's like you said, it's a practice environment.
Yeah.
If I need to try to make it more exciting, then you know I can go back to the training exercise.
Totally, and I believe you. Like I suspect you'll be able to do a very good job from here. I believe in you.
Yeah. So I think our battlers are able to lock in, are very close to being locked in.
Yeah, thanks for waiting, Athena.
Yeah, we do see our trainer locking in. Both trainers locking in. Battle starting. There we go. Our opposing trainer is locked in, and we see the Nidoqueen into Medicham, which this is definitely an interesting matchup because Ice Punch and Psychic from Medicham does tend to hurt, but these poison jabs Poison Fangs and Earth Power is definitely going to start adding up over time.
Definitely agree. I believe, Speedy, you definitely use Nidoqueen more than I do. But is it safe to say that, generally speaking, when shields are up, Nidoqueen tends to be more dominant, but when shields are down, Medicham tends to perform better?
I mean, definitely over time with Poison Fang debuffs, Nidoqueen definitely proceeds to get exponentially more favored as more debuffs does more damage with fast moves and other potential charge moves. But we do see 2 Protect Shields come up on both, and a potential catch on Altaria as an Ice Punch is definitely an interesting play.
I'm gonna shield up the Ice Punch here. Altaria can take 1, but it does do about half damage. Lyle's hopefully never, to answer your question. Seeing this Pidgeot coming in, gonna fire off the Sky Attack.
We do see the Sky Attack being able to connect, and it does not actually connect as our opponent decides to use their last Protect Shield. We are out of Protect Shields on both sides, but this Altaria is susceptible to being able to be Brave Birded, and there it is. The Brave Bird almost being able to knock out the Altaria, but the Pidgeot being able to get 1 more gust worth of energy to go up against the Nidoqueen.
Now just it's a race, able to make it to the Poison Fang before they reach that Brave Bird, thankfully. The little energy that they had against the Medicham whilst trying to catch definitely came back to help them here. So now the Pidgeot is dead. And what do we see in the back? Opting to come in with the Medicham. Speedy?
We do see the Insta swap into Scrafty, potentially trying to catch an Ice Punch, but the Scrafty is going to have to do some work up against Medicham. Medicham actually having Dynamic Punch and a Venusaur coming in to go up against the Scrafty, which is going to get a nice farm down despite taking a foul play.
Now here it's all up to Nidoqueen, although unfortunately I think Venusaur will just be able to outpace the Frenzy Plant versus the Poison Jab here, and Athena unfortunately does top left. I think there wasn't really a win con after that, as that Dynamic Punch just absolutely obliterated the Scrafty. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. Medicham being able to access Dynamic Punch, but typically, there's Power Up Punch, Ice Punch, Psychic. But, that trainer definitely realized the weakness the Steel was on their team with the Pidgeot and was like, hey, I need to take care of this. So, unconventional moveset does conventional things. So,
I have to admit, I am very interested in the fact that they were running counter double nuke. I'm almost a little bit surprised they weren't running even maybe like Psycho Cut for the Psychic and Dynamic Punch, because that will charge up the energy faster to get to your nuke. However, I guess you can't deny how good counter is, just as a general purpose.
Absolutely. So as we wait for our trainers to lock into the next team, I definitely feel like that was pretty interesting on how they were able to maneuver to a shields down scenario so that they were able to make it to the Brave Bird on the opponent's side.
Indeed. I think that's season 2, Legend. Leading Nidoqueen into G-Fist. There's always a debate whether or not this is a true hard counter or not, as Nidoqueen will be able to hit for massive super effective damage with the Earth Power, but because it isn't Shadow, unfortunately, you will need to probably bait with the Poison Fang, as we see here. Maybe?
We do see a bait with a Poison Fang, but Nidoqueen's Earth Power, even Shadow, doesn't take out a Stunfisk, a Galarian Stunfisk, but we do see a shield from the opponent's side. But now we have to call if it's a bait or a nuke, and it is the nuke of Earthquake. But we do see the Scrafty coming in, but the immediate switch out into a Noctowl.
Very spicy. Opting to stay in, maybe build up to the foul play, then switch in Altaria. Altaria is very bulky, as is Noctowl. They'll definitely both be able to stay in for a while, but I think Altaria does have the slight upper hand in this matchup, just due down to that very heavy Dragon Breath fast move pressure. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see this Altaria making it to the Sky Attack, potentially able to threaten the last Protect Shield from the opponent. But we do see it go unshielded, and our trainer has 2 shields to their 1. But I'm assuming this Noctowl is able to make it to another charge move, which could potentially knock out the Altaria and waste the energy. So will we see a Protect Shield? And we don't.
Smart no shield. The opponent... Sorry. I apologize. I think the opponent was maybe trying to get to double Sky Attack there. Gonna throw this Sky Attack immediately, and they have a Lantern in the back. And so Scrappy might be able to sweep with that G-Fisk Lantern, but we'll have to see. Speedy?
Absolutely, but we do have a Scrafty, 2 shields, and the ability to power up punch our way through a backline if it has the ability to. Deciding to shield up against the Lantern, but unfortunately it was only just a Surf. But at least with Spark, there's less fast move pressure than with Water Gun.
Very true. That is nice because we do have those 2 shields. Just going to start ramping up the damage with the power-up punches here. Not throwing the power-up punch. Oh, goodness, my internet. Sorry, am I here now?
Yep, you're still good.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, you're still good.
I apologize. Opting to throw double power-up punch here onto the Galarian Stunfisk. I don't believe an Earthquake knocks out, but this will still be a semi-tricky shield call, as the Earthquake will definitely do significantly more than a Surf. Oh, wait, never mind. We're shields down. Well, I apologize for my internet connection speed.
It's okay. It's okay. We do see the Scrafty attempting to power up punch, our opponent being able to shield the greater power up punch, but that is unfortunately not going to be enough, as this Earthquake will come through and knock out the Scrafty, giving the win to the opponent.
Very well played by Athena, but yeah, unfortunately, Galarian Stunfisk able to land the Earthquake there, and they'll just obliterate the Scrafty.
We do see that our trainer is switching up their teams, trying to make the correct pick on what they have been seeing in the meta, because definitely GBL, the great Go Battle League meta, does change up from time to time and definitely can be based off what events there are. Like, how are you enjoying the Psychic event right now?
Ooh, Azzy double dose. Oh, they're running Jellicent. I believe it's usually seen in Sableye and AWAC, but we'll have to see how this plays out.
It's definitely different just based on probably what the meta is and what we have been seeing, so.
For sure, yeah. We'll also have to see whether or not it is... Okay, we might have to report that username. We'll definitely see whether it's Bubble, Jellicent, or Hex. So I can definitely determine some matchups. Speedy?
Yeah, we do see the lead of Noctowl. We are staying in with our Hydro Pump as Azumarill, but definitely pretty interesting considering that a little Marowak and potentially what this Jellicent is running does not want to go up against that Noctowl in the back. We do see it farming up to 100 energy and then switching out into the Jellicent. We do see it as Hex, but it does have the variation of Ice Beam for the charge move instead of Bubble Beam.
Which is nice because now you do have play against a Noctowl that will most likely come in here after. So probably going to Shadow Ball the G-Fisk. And then I think this barely doesn't knock out, but maybe going to go for a Hex down after, Speedy?
Absolutely. It will get very, very close, but will not be able to secure the knockout. But now I'm assuming another Earthquake is coming through, and we do see a Protect Shield, but it was actually, in fact, the Rock Slide bait, and we do see the Noctowl coming in, but our Azumarill does have a whole bunch of energy.
Hopefully going to be able to reach the Ice Beam here. Able to reach the Ice Beam. However, Noctowl is notoriously bulky, so you will still have to commit a move on Azu. However, being at 100 energy, hopefully a Play Rough will be able to threaten from this range. Speedy?
Absolutely. Play Rough is probably the move to go with, as Hydro Pump is a more energy costly move on Azumarill compared to Play Rough. But going in, immediately throwing the Play Rough, hopefully threatening the last Protect Shield from the Noctowl. And it does not even knock out the Noctowl. So potentially either going to try to farm down and use their last Protect Shield, or understand that Azumarill is pretty bulky and should be able to take a Sky Attack.
I agree with this play. Definitely no shield. I'm recognizing that as you can easily tank that, and AWAC definitely needs that shield, and you don't really want to go 2 shields down here. And hopefully you'll be able to get one back. They bring in a Swampert, so you hopefully should be able to reach double Play Rough and at least AAA one of those shields. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. We do see a little faulty, but we do get the first Protect Shield from our opponent, immediately attempting to try to go for the second Play Rough up against the Swampert, which is definitely pretty terrifying, as we still have our little Marowak in the back that doesn't want to see the Swampert, doesn't want to see anything really on the opponent's side currently, but desperately attempting to make it to the Shadow Bone. and debating if we should use our last Protect Shield here.
Regrettably, I think the Swampert is unfortunately at double Hydro Cannons or very close. I believe this next one should KO. Regrettably, Speedy.
Yeah, we do have to recognize this is a Shadow Alolan Marowak, which does not take an Earthquake very well, or even a Hydro Cannon, as the damage output increases, but definitely the damage input does increase as well with it being Shadow.
Yeah, AWAC is definitely like my cat. He doesn't like getting wet or dirty. So that Earthquake absolutely wrecked it, especially because it's Shadow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, in theory, our trainer could have just wanted to go for the Earthquake because they had the energy. Swampert is definitely pretty spammy. Difference between Hydro Cannon and Earthquake is very, very minimal when you have a quick energy generating fast move, which Swampert definitely does have.
Yeah. And to be fair, I believe non-Shadow AWAC does live a Hydro Cannon. So probably just want to making absolutely sure that you do indeed knock it out.
Absolutely. It does look, yeah, we were watching the Fracture. I was like, oh yeah, we get faster gameplay, yay! But definitely seems like our trainer is going in, deciding on their very extensive roster, debating on what they should use up against their opponents in this blind format.
And about it, Zweilous, Venusaur. What are they going to put in the back? Are they going to stick with Jellicent or maybe... Oh! Athena also has a Shadow for Alligator from earlier. Like Umbreon, Venusaur, Double Dark. Huh. Definitely a very interesting lineup. It seems just a tad bit weak to Alolan Ninetales. I think go with Swampert instead of the Umbreon here.
Yeah, as we had discussed too, Swampert is definitely pretty powerful with its charge move of Hydro Cannon, even able to threaten Altaria with non-effective Hydro Cannons.
Mm-hmm. Like we're seeing the Toxicroak here. And I'm wondering, Speedy, do you think there's maybe even a situation or an argument here for Poison Jab Toxicroak as opposed to Counter? Or do you think Counter is just too good of a fast move to pass up?
I mean, I think it definitely depends on what you're weak to. If you feel like you're weaker to grass, which this line I could see potentially slightly weak to grass, definitely being able to have Poison Jab for that would be more effective. As especially you have the Swampert to cover the steals, which is definitely more what Counter is. And then also the resistance on Swallows for if there is another opposing dark type, which is also another great thing for Counter. There's a very real possibility that you could use Poison Jab or Counter. So it just depends on what the opponent or the trainer wants.
Opting to stick with Counter, it would appear. Let's see what the lead is in this next match. Toxicroak into Registeel. So maybe it's for the better you kept Counter there. This year, Speedy. And these Mud Bombs will start adding up. Immediate switch into the Noctowl. Speedy?
Yeah, we do see attempt to catch on the Zwellos for that Sky Attack. Unable to, but these Sky Attacks are still going to be coming in one way or the other. Just probably not going to be a Shadow Ball because that would be not super effective for more energy. But these Dragon Breaths and this Body Slam are going to do some serious hurt onto the Noctowl, potentially even threatening the first Protect Shield.
And we are unfortunately not able to get that shield, but you could at this point even consider shielding the Zweilous and farming down, which it appears that is exactly what Athena is going to go for, to leave with maybe even a Crunch loaded. Oh, never mind. Probably very close to a Body Slam, however, to threaten whatever comes in response. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. So having energy on those Wallows, having Swab for that Registeel, and that Registeel actually has nowhere to really go because it really doesn't want to be matched up against the Swampert. It doesn't want to be matched up against the Toxicroak. So it's kind of at its wit's end on what this Registeel can do in this match, as it won't be able to lock down the Zwellos being in the yellow and immediately switches back out into Toxicroak. But here comes the Swampert. So we'll have to see if our trainer decides to just save the Protect Shield for the Swampert and let the Toxicroak grow, or what they decide to do and how they decide to approach the rest of the match.
Another thing to keep in mind is that earlier when Athena was running Swampert, she was running Sludge Wave. So it is a possibility that this is a Sludge Wave Swampert, which would make the Registeel matchup slightly worse. See?
Yeah, absolutely. We do see our trainer electing to not protect shield their Toxicroak from the Hydro Cannon and immediately bringing in Zwelos to not have that switch clock run down and still takes another Hydro Cannon. Will we see the final protect shield? We do not. Being very comfortable understanding that our win condition for this match lies within our own Swampert, potentially even being able to mudshot down the opposing Swampert.
I like this play here, forcing them to throw shielding the Hydro Cannon, however, because I would imagine a Focus Blast does more damage and they can't really fast move you down. With Registeel, it is indeed the Sludge Wave. They're going to be firing off the Focus Blast, but I think these two Hydros should do Registeel in.
Yeah, absolutely. Not being able to get to 2 charged moves on the Registeel, as it does require a whole lot of energy from the fast attacks, but lock-in is typically pretty spammy. It can go pretty quickly, but our opponent realizing that our trainer has made it to a 2 Hydro Cannon, electing not to shield to drag on the match, and just accepting defeat on that battle.
Very well played by Tina. I think in particular, I really like coming in with the Zweilous there to force that Swampert to throw your energy, so that way you can get an easier mud shot farm down on the Swampert. I think that was a very good play on my part. Their part.
I think our trainer is electing to realize that Sludge Wave might not work. Definitely not wanting Muddy Water. Definitely probably going to try to go for that Earthquake. With me, the available charge TMs are accepting defeat on Sludge Wave if
4 TMs?
5?
5 TMs?
There we go.
Finally.
You guys are sounding good.
Yeah.
I really like how you're making those little moments like that. You're finding the fun in that.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I don't think I can focus on it. Like, I just don't think that's going to be effective on overall trying to incorporate that.
Sure. But I can also hear like a little more ups and downs in your voice already. Like in those last couple of battles. Yeah, there was I mean, that's I guess the best way I've got to say it is more ups and downs, more range. More range is probably
more character.
More character, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And it's probably subtle enough. Like I can probably only hear it because I'm looking for it. I don't know if someone, just a casual, if they came in and listened to both battles, I don't know whether they'd be able to pinpoint what's different about it. But I'm definitely hearing it.
Yeah, I can tell I'm starting to get a little tired too, because my brother decided to wake me up this morning with a phone call. I was like, oh, that's not my alarm. That doesn't sound like my alarm. And I look at
anything important,
and I was like, not really. No, he was having an issue, and he was like, I just wanted to call and see what you thought about this, and I was like, I'm awake. Yeah, sure, that sounds good. Yeah, but I probably should have grabbed a coffee a little bit beforehand, so I could tell. I'm like, but we're still trying.
I mean, well, I'd be happy to just do a couple more battles and then end it there, because it's also 2 a.m. for me.
Yeah, I think we are on our last set, so because it's definitely been
right?
the amount of time to do. Yeah, I think it's the last set.
Did you want to play out the whole set?
Yeah, we can play out the whole set. I'm fine.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
So we do see a switch up on the team. Toxicroak into Swampert, definitely not the best lead, but we do have some counters for it, and we are safe swapping into our Zwelos, potentially bringing out any Charmers.
I like this play, and it's met by Skarmory. You still will be able to threaten with the Dark Pulses, which will do a decent chunk. I think you maybe could have gone for a Hydro Cannon catch onto the Zweilous, but this definitely works. And seeing that Swampert Skarmory core, something tells me there's probably a Sableye lurking in back. CD?
Yeah, absolutely. But trying to realize and recognize the cores that are there, that Sky Attack is going to do a decent chunk of damage, potentially able to farm down those Wellows now with the fast attacks. But the Wellows is able to make it to the Dark Pulse very readily and able to potentially threaten a shield from the Skarmory to maintain switch.
Oh, King of Travelers, thanks for the raid. Able to get the shield, not quite able to Dragon Breath down. Skarmory uses a lot of energy. Maybe coming in, it looks like it's with Swampert here. Gonna shield up the energy, but I don't know. Maybe you could have come in with Toxicroak and try and counter down. It is the Brave Bird, though. See?
It is the Brave Bird, but Swampert with energy is definitely threatening to most things, even opposing grass types. And considering the opposing trainer is bringing in their own Swampert to counter our Swampert, the extra energy from the Skarmory is definitely appreciated. And correctly calling that it's not an Earthquake, as there's not the potential energy on our opponent's side for Earthquake that would have knocked out our Swampert with all the energy that we had gained.
The fact that they're coming in with Swampert in a Swampert mirror when they're at an energy disadvantage, maybe they're not running Sableye. However, 2 Hydro Cannons do still KO on the Sable, so it is possible they have something else in the back line. Going for the catch on the Hydro Cannon, unfortunately unable to get it. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see the Toxicroak coming in and a Galarian Stunkfist coming in to meet the Toxicroak. We do see that research task coming in, so we might experience a little lag of potential quit there, realizing and recognizing that being able to make it to a rock slide and an earthquake isn't just feasible, and potentially even having the bait go down and be the wind condition was just unfeasible.
Yeah, I think it was another Common Core Skarmory double ground. Probably should have picked up on that, but yeah, that does make sense why they brought in their Swampert into a Swampert mirror. And unfortunately, I think the opponent definitely was semi-hard counter throughout that match. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see a Toxicroak into Jellicent, which definitely is not a great matchup for us. But Swampert isn't really super great for this, so we'll have to see an immediate switch into our hard counter for this matchup of the Jellicent, not dealing super effective damage. But we also see a defense Deoxys come in, which means maybe they're a little weak to our Zwellows.
Yeah, the counter damage will start to add up, but being that it is a psychic type, they have to respect the Dark Pulse with a shield, trying to maybe generate a shield advantage for Swampert, which, as we all know, can be very lethal in the end game. Speedy?
Absolutely, but we do see that the Zwellows is having issues up against the defense Deoxys, taking a lot of fast move pressure, a lot of charge move pressure, and barely able to make it to the body slam and throw it, potentially even trying to threaten another Dark Pulse, potentially trying to get the last Protect Shield. We do experience a little bit of an issue here, but we do see that the opponent has decided not to Protect Shield the second charge move.
Feeling what we'll come in with here, in a great position, because if you come in with Toxicroak, okay, electing to come in with the Swampert here, maybe just trying to immediately threaten with a Hydro Cannon. The opponent throwing on CMP, unfortunately, Defense Deoxys does lose it. Curious to see whether or not they'll shield this, Speedy.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see the second Protect Shield from the opponent coming in, trying to protect all the energy that it did have from that Zwellows matchup. But will we counter with the shield? And we do not. So the second Psycho Boost, we do see this Jellicent coming in, though, immediately throwing a charge move onto our Swampert. It could potentially be a Bubble Beam, and it is, unfortunately, a Bubble Beam, the nice bait from our opponent's side.
So the question is, will we be able to reach Earthquake? We might even have to reach Earthquake plus Hydro Cannon, or double Earthquake as opposed to Earthquake plus Hydro Cannon with these Bubble Beam debuffs. Able... Gonna throw the Earthquake? No! Banking all the energy on Toxicroak. I really like this place. You can come in undebuffed. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's a phenomenal play by our trainer here, as we do see our opponent uses Shadow Ball against the Toxicroak. Unfortunately, Toxicroak is not very bulky, will not appreciate taking a Shadow Ball, but we are all out of Protect Shields on both sides of the screen. Will we be able to make it to the Mud Bomb to be able to secure the knockout? And unfortunately, unable to make it to the Mud Bomb from the Jellicent, going to be taking the charge move from it as well, but it's luckily only a Bubble Beam.
Am I back? I lied really hard.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, you're back.
And that game not even needing. Oh wait. Who am I kidding? No, there's still. Keepers, I missed a lot. Gonna be able to fire off this mud bomb. It is single resisted. As opposed to this sludge bomb, which is double resisted, given its gun rate is a steel type. Sweetie.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have a lot of energy on our Swampert, attempting to throw double Hydro Cannon to secure the knockout on the Skarmory. But we still have a third Pokemon in the back that we have to be concerned about. And we do see a catch onto the Deoxys on the Hydro Cannon, potentially giving and locking in the win for the opponent on the Skarmory.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think that will do a very good catch on the opponent's part, as the Sky Attack will be more than enough to take out the top. That's a big jam.
Absolutely. Great energy management by our opponent and our trainer on screen. Definitely very well energy moment. Just unfortunate lineup, dealing with a full health Skarmory when, Swampert is not super high and we only have a Toxicroak left. So definitely just pretty rough.
Looking, let's put in Vigoroth instead of Toxicroak. I like this play. You are now double weak to Trevenant, but Vigoroth is a bit more bulky and will be taking super effective from, say, Flying type fast moves.
And also double weak to counter as well.
Very true, very true. You are double weak to counter. So, Athena, thinking about it, might switch up the lineup. Looks like we are going to go switch Violet's lead and maybe a different anti-fighter.
I'm guessing it's like kind of the thing. If I'm double weak to this one thing, might as well have one of the most powerful Pokemon. I feel like in the Great League meta, I think Galarian Stunfisk, ever since its debut, has been a prevalent monster in the Great League meta, and now even Ultra League with level 50s around.
Yeah. Hello, Christian22, I think that is. Welcome in.
Prima, welcome in. So we do see our shiny Galarian Stunfisk up against Lantern. So this is going to be very interesting to see what the fast move on Lantern is, as we do have a Venusaur for it as well, and it can apply the fast move pressure if it had Water Gun, but we do see this Talonflame coming out to meet our Venusaur.
It's unfortunate, however, we will be able to dish out some pretty good damage with these sludge bombs. I slightly disagree with the play of immediately switching onto the G-Fisk. I think I would have been more inclined to soft sack it, see if you can generate a shield advantage. And the opponent is going to let us reach double sludge bomb, so we're either going to get 2 shields down or get the Talonflame very, very low speedy.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see the second Protect Shield not come up from the opponent, but it is getting a complete farm down on the Venusaur. I do believe we have some energy on the Stunfisk, but immediately bringing in Pelipper to try to soak up some of the energy, potentially blind throw Flame Charge from our opponent's end, but we do see the first shield come up on our trainer side.
And this is just a Flame Charge, as you cannot store a Brave Bird and a Flame Charge. However, Pelipper is notoriously glassy, and even a resisted Flame Charge would still do a chunk. You should be able to farm down here, barely, and leave with some energy to potentially threaten, not necessarily Lantern that comes in, so this is tough, because Lantern does resist all of Pelipper's moves, Speedy.
Absolutely. Lantern being able to take out the Pelipper, take out all the energy we had on there, and poor little Stunfisk is going to have to try to do most of the work here, immediately going for the Earthquake, trying to knock out the Lantern, even though there is a Protect Shield in play. Will we see it used on the opponent's side? And we do. So correctly shielding the Earthquake there, but very, very rough for our trainer side.
Yeah, unfortunately, now that Lantern does have access to Surf, this matchup is a bit more in its favor. 2 Surfs will just about do G-Fisk in, and it does indeed get to the second one on the CMP tie. And I think that should be the final nail in the coffin.
We do see the Stunfisk barely hang on, able to secure the knockout on the Lantern, even with the charge move priority event. But we will have to see what this last mon is. no amount of health on the Stunfisk that is left. It ends up getting vine whipped down by the opponent's Venusaur.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate there. I think had Athena maybe like soft back the G-Fist to just kind of stay in, maybe throw an Earthquake or a Rock Slide plus Earthquake, try and get a shield disparity, and then come in with the Venusaur, I think you might have had a better chance because then you would have also had your Pelipper aligned to the Talonflame. In hindsight, it's really good step. I think in the moment, Athena definitely.
Absolutely, but knowing that, especially the Lantern lurks around when it can definitely do some damage to Pelipper, definitely would have probably tried to prioritize switch a little bit more with that potential threat. But we do see a Stunfisk into a Dragonite, which Dragonite does have superpower now, so it can definitely threaten our Stunfisk, but at least Dragon Tail will not do that much damage as it is resisted by Stunfisk.
Yeah, it's very interesting opting to run the Dragon Tail over Dragon Breath. I personally prefer Dragon Breath, as you can switch whenever you want, and you beat Skarmory by a single turn to the superpower. But evidently the opponent prefers Dragon Tail for whatever reason. They're going to be able to throw the move. This is enough for the superpower. Tricky call here.
Yeah, we do see it correctly called by our trainer, but then we see an immediate switch into Lantern, which is very interesting. At least we have a nice hard counter of Venusaur for the Lantern, and we are able to save a Rock Slide on our Stunfisk for the Dragonite.
Yeah, this is a very nice switch because now not only do you get your Venusaur aligned to the Lantern, but it also gets to avoid that Dragonite, which is very nice. And these Frenzy Plants will absolutely wreck this Lantern. So I think you have switch advantage in the bag. They do opt to let it go. Speedy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would have loved to see a little bit more energy farm up on the Venusaur, as you do know that the Lanterns really can't do much damage, but I do understand why our trainer can be a little concerned because the Dragonite could potentially get a whole bunch more farm if they decided to elect and just farm down, which then they would have been able to threaten more with superpower. So definitely can see both ways. We do see an immediate Rock Slide from the Galarian Stunfisk trying to connect with the Dragonite, and it does connect. It is able to connect and does not threaten the last Protect Shield from our opponent.
Being that the Dragonite is non-shadow, it is able to tank the Rock Slide. Oh, and they get baited with the Dragon Claw. Speedy, this is not great.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see the second Rock Slide coming out very shortly after, as understanding that with that bait is very rough. But we do see a Tentacruel come in. So this is actually very interesting now with Scald potentially trying to go for a catch, unable to secure the catch on the Scald. So we'll have to see how this Tentacruel attempts to try to make it through the back two Mons.
We definitely do have a good chance because you'll be threatening the shield with either the Hurricane or the Earthquake, and with that Earthquake stored up, I think it's safe to say you do have a good chance. The Acid Spray does come out, which does harshly lower the Pelipper's defense, and they are able to make function of each of their moves, Speedy.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see the Scald come through. It is almost able to knock out the Pelipper, but the Pelipper is able to make it to the Hurricane. And with the Earthquake stored on the Stunfisk and unable to shield, but the Tentacruel barely lives, able to Mudshot down by the Galarian Stunfisk, securing the victory for our trainer here.
That was incredibly close. I think the Tentacruel play, I think they played that just about as perfectly as they could, going for the Acid Spray first and then the Scald, and I think unfortunately Pelipper is just able to hang on.
Absolutely, I do see that. I think it is a nice 12, rank 12 Pelipper. Definitely feel those on sometimes when you make it to those 1 HP in the dreams, you're like, I am so glad I spent all that dust on this really great run one.
That definitely saves us there. Hopping to the next match, we have Stunfisk into Tapu Fini. This is not a great lead. You are able to threaten with Earthquake, but these Water Guns and Surf do so much. We see an immediate switch into Pelipper here, Speedy.
Yeah, we do see the immediate switch into Pelipper, and then a quick couple Water Guns, and then a swap out into Frost Glass. This is pretty interesting, as definitely Pelipper is pretty squishy, but it does do a high damage output on the Frost Glass. Not even baiting the Hurricane, just going straight Weather Balls. We will have to see if the Frost Glass decides to do an Avalanche or Shadow Ball, which definitely could threaten a Protect Shield, and does threaten a Protect Shield and secures it, but is now at the difficulty of being able, do we Protect Shield the Frost Glass, or do we let it go?
We'll see. They do indeed opt to shield it. However, I believe you do Actually, you might lose on CMP here, getting to the move, yeah. Frostlass is barely able to outpace. Now this is a really tough decision, Speedy.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see the second Protect Shield attempting to try to go for switch, understanding that Stunkfist does not want to be matched up against the Tapu Fini, and actually securing switch at the cost of both shields, though.
However, now you do have a ton of energy to threaten whatever comes in. In comes that Tapu Fini. I would expect overfarming and going for the Weather Ball bait. This is a semi-risky bait, Speedy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do understand coming in, understanding that there's potentially another counter in the back for this Tapu Fini, the opponent deciding not to shield, and all that energy unfortunately going to waste on this poor Pelipper and not being able to make it to the Hurricane.
Very good job by the opponent keeping track of the energy. We see a switch into Shiftry. Oh my goodness, the fight! And these foul plays, Leaf Blades will just punk our back line. Shiftry able to get to the first move on CMP. This won't knock out the Venusaur, but it will do a very good chunk, Speedy.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do see the Sludge Bomb coming in. The opponent does, I believe, have a Protect Shield. Does decide to Protect Shield the Sludge Bomb, so potentially having to go for a catch. Unable to secure the catch and is not at a Frenzy Plant for that Tapu Fini, but the switch timers are definitely a little messed up, so have to be visible and aware that there is the potential for the opponent to catch a Rock Slide on that Tapu Fini.
Throwing on the CMP here so they ensure that it cannot catch. However, I believe Shiftry can take 2 rocks. If we outpace this.
Unfortunately, I think we're not going to be able to outpace this next move, but there is going to be a solid attempt made to try to outpace. The Snarls coming in, the Mudshots coming in, and the catch on the Tapu Fini.
My goodness.
I'm not going to be able to secure the knockout on the Tapu Fini with the Rock Slide, and going to try to be left to Venusaur to potentially farm down and make it to a charge move for that Shiftry, but unfortunately realizing that that's very, very slim, still going for the Frenzy Plant to try to secure the knockout, and having to try to Vine Whip down the Shiftry.
The top left button.
I think that was a refund on the top left button, but I wonder if
I mean, I've seen plenty of charge move refunds, but that's the first time I've seen the game saying, nope, you're going to stay here.
I thought about it, and then I said, maybe there's still a chance, but there wasn't. But
yeah, especially because that Shiftry left with a move. I didn't think about that. That's kind of the thing, if you could see both sides.
Yeah.
Like, that's the, seeing that, I would be like, okay, there's no hope, but like, you know, if they didn't have a move and you had a move to KO, or like to knock it out, like you would have been fine.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Was that the final match of the set, or do we have? Oh, that was. Unfortunate.
Yes,
very well played by Athena, though, throughout the day. Some very interesting team compositions, and
yeah, and that is our last. I don't know. Was there anything that you heard, Albina, by anything that you were like, oh, maybe that was horrible? Fire both casters. They done, or do you think we did a good job?
Oh, you guys were great. That was a lot of fun to hear people talking about what I was doing instead of just like thinking it in my head. You know, I've never had somebody shoutcast while I was battling, so definitely. You guys were great. Good job.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Athena, do you know your overall ELO gain or loss during the day, or are you not keeping track of that?
I think I started at 2,000, like just over 2,000. I think my net was like a loss of 1 point after 5 sets.
Battling for 2 hours, 1 point worse off.
Yeah, an incredible, iconic performance.
Hey, you got some dust out of it.
Just a really small thing that I liked from Muffin when so you found it helpful to stop and say Speedy's name to transition. There was one that I heard that you managed to make that sound like it was actually part of the conversation. So instead of, the Swampet's about to bait Speedy, it was like, and the Swampet's about to bait Speedy. So I don't know if you can hear that difference, but it just kind of sounds like a more natural conversation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, if you could incorporate that a little more into the flow of your conversation, that would be a huge improvement as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll try to do that. Thank you, Fish.
That's okay. Thank you both. Hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah,
This is a ton
definitely
of fun.
was.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, I should find someone to raid, shouldn't I?
Yeah. You could use So Tactical. I think he's on
see,
there. Also
yeah.
Toshi. Yeah. Zeus is on. Yeah.
Let's go Toshi.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing.
Right. Shut up, Toshi. And it's 9227? Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shut up, Toshi 9227. This is his name.
And enter. Intended for mature audiences. Watch out, people. So, on this channel, I'm going to be coming back. This is Fish on a Heater, if you didn't recognize the voice. I'm going to be coming back in, I want to say, like 20 hours from now. It's 9:30 my time on Sunday night. And then back Monday night at the same time as well. We've got LilyBear26, Mamaclimbs, HisuianRyan, a whole bunch of streamers on this channel, a whole bunch of great content. So make sure you are checking out there's a calendar below the Twitch window that'll tell you when our next stream is. And Need for Speedy Go, she has her own channels too. Do you want to plug them?
Yeah, so Need for Speed to Go basically everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Just tried to keep it pretty consistent. That's why I had to add what I had to add, because Need for Speedy was taken on at least 2 out of 3 of those platforms. So I was like, okay, there we go.
And Muffin, we've got like 10 seconds. Do you have anything? Like, do you do anything
No,
online?
I don't.
No? Okay, well,
No.
thank you all. We'll see you on Toshi's channel.
Yeah.
And we're out.